Uh, all right, so here we are with the Iconic CEO podcast. I'm happy to have you here, Michael. Thanks a lot for making the time for us. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here.
No worries. So look, we've been interviewing like people who, have inspiring stories or doing something good for the world. Like the Iconic CEO are the ones that not only have a good business, but also understand how to enjoy life. And just so everyone knows you today or get a little idea of who you are, like who's Michael Cortina?
There's a question. So I would say, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm somebody who loves travel, who loves novelty, who loves putting himself outside the comfort zone for growth, development, evolution, and frequently encourages others to do this. I love food. I love to eat a variety of different food, and I think that's a spice and a pleasure of life. Professionally, I'm a trauma resolution expert, and I provide healing and transformation to people so that they get their brains optimized. In the process of getting their brain optimized, their entire life becomes optimized. And if one might say, well, what is brain optimization? And a simple way to think about it is getting the brain to respond to life in the most enticing and optimal way possible. So while I'm certainly known as a trauma resolution expert, the application of my work and my training and training others to do the work that I do is very far reaching.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, like that sounds like something that's very needed out there. I never heard about how you put it together, but it makes a lot of sense.
It is the need is through the roof. I mean, if you look at the numbers, they're extraordinary. They're just extraordinary. And for as many people as I train and for as much work as I do, there's no shortage. There's no shortage of people coming in and people benefiting from it. So yeah, there's a lot of people struggling out there.
Yeah, you know what? I've been working on myself for a long time with my coaches and whatnot. And I learned one thing, that we all have some sort of trauma. Sometimes maybe you cannot call it a trauma, but something happened in our past that it conditions how we react to things today. And you notice that some people, when sometimes you say something or something happens that you don't give importance to, and they react, they get triggered like enormously, but by things that you don't think are important. And I learned to recognize these things because, like we all have something that at some point we've experienced, and then it has programmed us to react a certain way. And a lot of people don't realize they have something in the past they need to heal. So good on you, man, for doing that job.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. I appreciate it. And that's an excellent point that you're making. I'll talk with people, and sometimes they have what I call a response that's out of proportion to the event that triggered it. So, they drop their pen and they just lose it. They explode, and they're throwing things, and they're screaming, and they're dropping F-bombs, and they're just really, really, and you're thinking, wow, all this from dropping your pen? No. Clearly that is there's something else going on there that's causing a reaction that is way out of proportion to the perceived event that triggered it. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's something that I realized recently, and I don't know, like most people don't realize because we are not aware that there's a reason for that. Just react, and it had an event reaction. Awesome. So look, tell us, I'd love to hear about what is the most important project you're working at the moment? What excites you? What makes you wake up in the morning excited about going on with your day these days?
I have a second layer of skin. My purpose, my passion, my mission is I've created and developed a model to resolve trauma, to do it efficiently, effectively, and in a process that is like no other. It's called the Cortina method, and it's firmly rooted in neuroscience. And the what just makes me come alive, what makes me come alive is people will come in and they've experienced fill in the blank, you know, sexual trauma, domestic violence, deaths, addictions, car accidents, botched up medical procedures, military related, on and on the list goes. And at the conclusion of our visit, they are a transformed, changed human. They're not the same person when they walked in the door. So this can happen, and this is what's changing the game. This can happen in as little as a single visit. And so what I'm doing, and what I'm doing now, and let me add, as far as the process, the one thing that makes it different from so much of what out there is there's no prerequisites, expectation, requirements that anybody has to relive or re-experience pain, and the process of getting pain from prior events resolved. So it's a much more gentle, uplifting, light approach. And now what I'm doing is I'm training others how to do this work. And so the vision is to create an army of healers.
That's right.
Who's going to have massive impact and healing. And that's what gets me up in the morning is, and then when I hear from my trainees, how energized their work has become, you know, because being in this change management business, and anyone who's been a therapist or a counselor or coach and has been in it for quite a while can attest to this. Anyone who's been with people, you could start to get a little burnt out and things could start to get a little heavy. And this, people are energized. They're like, yes, I can't wait. Send me another person. Let me work with them.
Wow.
To see the results my trainees are getting just fuels my fire even more.
That's amazing. Yeah, because when you work on that field, you make an impact on people, and these people will make an impact on some other people because you're changing someone's life. But when you're training someone who can do the same at the same time, then it's exponentially, the impact is huge.
That's it.
That's amazing.
Thank you, and that you're on point. That's exactly what the mission is. It's to create massive impact and spread healing and transformation throughout the world. I've already worked with people around the world, and I've seen the outcomes of this, and so I feel compelled to get it out there to even more people. And some people say, well, aren't you concerned about giving away your secrets or teaching other people how to do this? And I say, no, man, no. I operate from a mindset that there's plenty for everybody, and there's so much to be done that when I train people, I let them know all the little secrets, all the little nuances to really get the job done.
Yeah. That you made a good point. Like some people live in this scarcity mindset. And it's like, if you shed, you're gonna run out of people to help. Well, no, you're just gonna make a bigger impact, and you're probably gonna make a better income if that's the concern. So that's great. That's great. Awesome. That's so inspiring, man. So this is a tricky question. Now I asked that to everyone, and the question is, let's say that you can see who's coming at your funeral. Hopefully that's going to be happening many hundreds of years. But then, what would you like people to say? How would you like to be remembered? Like, what is the impact that you want to make in people's lives?
Yeah, wow. That is quite the question. I would, first of all, I would want people to be joyful. I would want people to remember how I lived life, not how, I kind of checked out and ended in the end, but that this was a person who was, just sometimes, kind of geeky in the sense that he just open-eyed, like enthusiastic, passionate, excited about life and enjoying new experiences and people and things. And someone who, as much as I sort of, like to be light and so forth, someone who there's no mistake in that I am rock solid, dead serious game face about healing, transforming, and making massive impact to make this world a better place. That people can heal, people can get things resolved. I'm not talking about coping. I'm not talking about, here's a few coping skills for the things, that you experience. I'm talking about getting things resolved so there's nothing left to cope with. That they would remember that I push that narrative, that agenda, and sometimes that, actually a lot of times, that flies in the face of so much of what's out there now. So many people don't even think that's possible, even people in the helping professions. And that that I'm saying it is possible, and let's make it happen. And that want to make impact and cause healing in the world.
Totally, man. You're on the right path. You're making it. You're making it. Awesome. So, look, what is one killer piece of advice that you could give to the community? Like, what is, if you could give like just one piece of advice, and it's your best nuggets, which one would it be?
Well, let's see. Well, I'll stick with the theme then, because I think when I think about things like this, I think about them sort of categorically. You could give advice as it relates to leadership, as it relates to parenting, as it relates to, there's a lot of things out there, right?
Right. Let's make it in general.
Yeah, so I'll stick with the theme then of what we're talking about here, and I'll say this. My one big piece of advice would be this: if you are somebody who is struggling, who has tried maybe conventional, traditional talk therapy or counseling or different things, and nothing has worked, and you're hearing, well, now here's this guy talking about the Cortina method and how they're causing healing and they're getting results done really quickly, very effectively. Yeah, no, sounds too good to be true. My one bit of advice would be this: ask yourself, what do you have to lose? You only have upside potential. Your worst case scenario is that nothing changes and life continues as it already is, what you've already been living. Yeah. What is your worst case scenario? That life stays exactly like it is. So there's only upside potential. So to anybody who's struggling and you're hearing about, this sort of new neuroscience, based methodology, what do you got to lose? Yeah. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's a great advice. We are our biggest obstacle when it comes to moving forward in life, and our ego. It's what it stays on the way. Like I know better than that. This is not going to work. I don't need that. And we stop being curious. We stop being kids.
That's it, Carlos. That's it. I mean, and you're hitting on kind of why that would be my one bit of advice, is because there's so many obstacles that keep people out. One of them is ego, like we just mentioned. There's still stigma, as far as we've come, there's still a long way to go. There's still stigma with mental health and wellness and addictions and so forth. And I'm on a mission to smash those stigmas. So just like, yeah, you only got upside potential, man. That's what I would say.
Yeah. There's nothing to lose. And at the end of the day, we're never going to get out of this alive. So you better try things. And, like what's the worst thing that can happen? It's going to happen anyway. Yeah, like that. Like, we have the time. It's limited. Let's fucking do it. Like whatever it takes. And if you fail, great. You've learned a lesson. Just you're gonna come out of the other way. The other side is stronger. So what's the point? Good stuff, man.
Right on. That's so energizing to hear you say that. I have a definition of failure. My definition of failure is let's see if I can remember it. My definition of failure is Um, tuition paid for wisdom acquired. And so that tuition may take many forms. Sometimes it's financial tuition, sometimes it's heartbreak, sometimes it's a failed business. Whatever
Mhm.
that tuition is, it's tuition paid for wisdom acquired. So
Right.
you take the wisdom and you march forward.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Like, it's interesting you say that, because we all have fear, right? We have this part of the brain that it's gonna, creep in and say, "Oh, don't do it. You don't need that. You stay where you are." And sometimes you need to talk yourself out of this because there's always these two voices, right? Like it's human nature, and sometimes what I do, if you let me say that, like, I always do one thing, and it's I go at the worst case scenario. I make the date, I make peace with that, and I come back to the present. So let me explain it. Like, so you "Man, I'm so scared. The business is not gonna work out. What's gonna happen?" And then you're stuck in this fear. The fear, it stops you from seeing possibilities. The only thing you shrink, you just see bad case scenarios. But if you say, "Okay, what's the worst that could happen? Let's go there." And then I go there, and I leave, and I sense what it would be like this thing to happen to me. And then all of a sudden you start, "Oh, okay, so that's not that bad. What I would do in that scenario, I would do this and that, and I would be fine. Oh, great." So then there's no reason to be fearful anymore. You come back to the present, and then you just see the possibilities. So yeah, it's a way to beat fear.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I love to hear that you do that, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, sometimes too often. All right, so Michael, so if someone wants to contact you, this is gonna be on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn. How can people find you? I'm gonna drop you the link to your contact details down below, but what's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. So I have a website. It's michaelcortina.com. Michael is Michael, Cortina.com. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. And I recently just got on Instagram because I've been invited to do an Instagram live. So I guess I had to come kicking and screaming into more technology. So
Beautiful.
yeah, yeah.
All
LinkedIn,
right.
book, my website, and Instagram.
Awesome. We'll do that. So, Michael, thanks a lot for being here today. It's been a pleasure. Love your energy. Love your mission. Keep doing what you're doing, and let's change the world.
Right on, man. Thank you. My pleasure. Appreciate being here.
Thank you. Bye bye.